an African oil empire covered in pure jungle, where wild hippos wade into the Atlantic surf. This equatorial landscape is 88% jungle, with 11% locked away as federally protected national parks. Maintaining this pristine wilderness requires a specific economic engine. Crude oil accounts for 80% of national exports, supported by manganese and global carbon credits. Just beyond the untouched beaches, heavy offshore extraction platforms turn raw petroleum into the capital that funds the country's conservation. But accessing this deep interior is a difficult logistical feat that requires overcoming exceptionally high financial and administrative barriers. To understand if the payoff is worth the investment, we evaluate the country through two distinct lenses: the high-end ecotourist and the specialized expatriate professional. Gabon operates as an isolated, heavily gated eco-fortress, accessible only to those willing to navigate its specific financial and logistical demands. Entry into this petrostate begins with a rigid set of bureaucratic prerequisites. The 2026 digital e-visa system is centralized and strict. Every global traveler must arrive through Libreville International Airport to have their physical authorization stamped. At these checkpoints, health mandates are absolute. Travelers must present a physical yellow fever vaccination certificate to clear immigration. For those who comply with the paperwork, the result is a highly secure, streamlined, and predictable entry into the country. However, these rigid constraints leave no room for flexibility, effectively locking out casual backpackers or spontaneous overland travelers at the border. Within the country, this administrative control translates to one of the most stable and secure environments in the region. Violent crime is statistically rare. You only need basic vigilance to handle the threat of pickpockets in crowded commercial zones, like the Montbouet market. This restrictive entry process acts as a filter, maintaining the tight internal oversight that underpins Gabon's rare regional stability. Beyond the paperwork, day-to-day life in Gabon carries a massive financial premium. Despite its oil wealth, the nation heavily imports its processed foods and Western goods, which aggressively inflates baseline prices for residents and visitors alike. A standard meal in a secure zone costs between $10 and $18. A modern one-bedroom apartment in a secure Libreville neighborhood runs between $500 and $900 a month. These costs reflect the developed coastal city zones, where infrastructure is modern and well-maintained. But beyond the city limits, the environment is raw. Navigating the interior requires hiring professional 4x4 transport blocks capable of grinding through deep jungle mud. Compounding these costs is an unforgiving equatorial climate. The country faces oppressive humidity and torrential monsoons from October all the way through May. These heavy rains force all viable travel into a narrow 3-month window. Between June and August, the air cools and the forest tracks finally become passable. Surviving this economic and physical climate requires significant capital reserves and a total surrender to this rigid operational window. Ultimately, the decision to enter depends on which capital you have to spend: time, money, or specialized professional skills. For those on a career path, there is a massive demand for corporate engineers, environmental auditors, and resource logistics managers. These specialists manage the heavy extraction industries that fund the state, directing the movement of timber and raw resources from the interior to the coast. These roles offer lucrative contracts, often including tax-free monthly salaries exceeding $5,000. These high-tier packages easily absorb the inflated cost of rent, resulting in a highly profitable and stable professional posting. For those traveling for the environment, the window is limited to well-funded wildlife enthusiasts operating strictly during the dry season. The payoff is unparalleled access to some of the most spectacular, pristine ecosystems on Earth. The high financial barrier creates a natural filter, guaranteeing an elite, private experience free from the crowds of mass tourism. However, the requirements for entry are a complete deterrent for the budget-conscious traveler or the casual overland explorer. Mandatory flights into the capital, $15 meals, and the necessity of hiring private 4x4s will instantly decimate a standard backpacking budget. When the government protected 11% of the country in 2002, they effectively created a shield around their ancient rainforests. Gabon actively protects its last Eden by making it intentionally difficult and expensive to access, a deliberate strategy that requires a serious commitment from anyone who wishes to enter.